Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. This episode of Slam the Gavel is sponsored by CPS Protect Consulting Services. A child protective services case is one of the most frightening experiences for any parent. Don't face it alone. Face it with confidence with Urgent Assist by CPS Protect. You can have access to former CPS investigators to make sure you preserve your rights and protect your family. If you're facing CPS involvement and aren't sure where to turn, their child welfare consultants can help you. Visit cpsprotect.com/subscribe and enter the coupon code SLAMTHEGAVEL for 60% off your first year of Urgent Assist. This is available in all 50 states. I have another announcement. Bradley's mother, Narcus Golan, passed away in the fall of 2022. Bradley is autistic and needs structured routine therapies he receives for his autism 6 days a week. However, Italy just entrusted Bradley to the Italian Social Services. If he is ruled to go back, he will face the next 3 to 4 years in the Italian foster care system where he can't speak or understand the language. He will then be taken away from the only family he has ever known. Please call Governor Hochul at 518-474-8390. That's Governor Hochul at 518-474-8390 to please keep Bradley here safe in these United States. Hashtag keep Bradley safe. Another announcement, go to the site, pleasedoyourjob.com. We need 3,000 more signatures. That's pleasedoyourjob.com. We need 3,000 more signatures. Also, one last announcement. All Texas parents, please file detailed complaints to complaints@house.texas.gov to attention Chairperson Andrew Murr, State Texas Representative. This is time-sensitive, urgent request. Also, CC yourselves in the email to keep a copy of the email for documentation purposes. I have kind of brand new guest on. I have TJ Moonan on. Now, he was the gentleman that helped organize the April 25th Parental Alienation Awareness Day. And we're going to talk about all things parental alienation. And really, parental alienation has been around for over 200 years. And it began at the turn of the century. 19th century when Leonard Thomas de Manville literally snatched his nursing daughter from the breast of his wife. So it has been around for a long time. And I welcome you, TJ. How are you doing and how did you get into this?
Thank you, Marianne. It's great to be here with you. My fight with parental alienation started at the turn of the 21st century. And it's been active ever since. Like you said, it's been going on for 200 years, as long as we've been around this as a country, and history goes back, and there's a lot of different things that have changed over the years, but some things have become even more devastating because of situations. My case started in the 1990s, 1998. In 1998, I was basically erased from my daughter's life for the most part. I got married in 1987, and I was too young to get married, and my wife was a heck of a lot more mature than I was. And basically, I like to say is she was married and I wasn't. And things happened, and I caused her a lot of pain, and I knew I was going to continue to cause pain, so I decided to end the marriage. What happened was I had an affair on her, and what happened, she moved back to her mother's house she was there for a week, and we decided to try it again. I ended the relationship that I had started, and I was going to go forth. And at that point, I didn't realize it, but she had taken herself off the pill. And so when we got back together, it didn't take long. She was pregnant, and I was all excited because we were starting over, and everything was great. And I stuck around, and I ended up falling into that a relationship thing again, and I cheated on her while she was pregnant, and I was really torn because I wanted to be there for my daughter, for my child, and but I knew I couldn't stay in the relationship with my wife because she was going to keep getting hurt. So I decided, I did all the mom's process, and I stayed in the relationship, and I was there, and I was the second face my daughter saw, and it was a beautiful thing, and unfortunately, I still had the other thing on the set, and I knew I had to do something. So my daughter was only a month old when I told my wife that I didn't want to be part of the relationship anymore, and she ended up leaving, and I spent. This was in May of 1992 or 1991. I'm sorry, and ended up spending the whole summer going back and forth between the two women. I wanted to have my wife and my daughter in my life, but the other woman, it was beyond my ability to deal with. So on Labor Day weekend, in fact, I checked myself into a hospital here in New Hampshire just to get my head straight, because to figure out why I was being such an idiot, And while I was up there, I had the other woman came up, and I told her that I had to end the relationship, that I wanted my marriage to work. And while I was telling her this, my wife pulled up and saw her car and came in, and she had my daughter with her. And, I reached over to touch my daughter's arm, and she pulled her away. And, it was a terrible thing. And when she laid into me about what a jerk I am and all this. And then she said at the end she wanted a divorce. And I was in no position to stop her. So when I got out, we got to court, and I had just gotten out of a mental hospital. So the judge ordered that the visits be supervised. And they were supervised, the whole time I was able to visit my daughter. They were always supervised. And what happened was, this was in 1991, like I said, and for the next 7 years, we met anywhere from 1 hour a week to, I think the longest visit I had was a 3-hour visit when I took her to a carnival. It was difficult because I could only visit her when I could afford the payments to whoever was supervising, unless it was my ex-wife supervising. So what happened was we had found a friend of ours who was a high school teacher, and she was qualified to do the supervision. So she did the supervision for 3 years. We would meet at her house and play games. And she was getting older, so we were starting to do homework and stuff like that. And then Barbara, the woman who was doing the visitation, couldn't do it any longer. So I had to go to a supervision center. Now, I don't know what my ex-wife told the center, but they had a preset idea of who I was and what I was apparently doing to my daughter, because what would happen is I'd get to the supervision center 10 minutes earlier than Amanda, my daughter. I had to stay 10 minutes longer after she left. It was almost like a prison-like environment. And what would happen was my daughter would come in, and I would give her a hug and tell her I love her. And the supervisor said to me, don't initiate physical contact, let her do that. And I said, screw you. I'm paying you $60 to see my daughter for 1 hour a week. I'm going to let her know I love her. And the supervisor put in the notes, inappropriate physical contact, which then set off the investigations. 4 years, 4 years they investigated, two court investigations and a police investigation. The police investigation, he worked with me. I took a lie detector test, and the police detective who investigated me actually apologized to me when I finished taking the polygraph, because he said, he talked to my daughter 4 times, and she was sure that I did something to her. But he said, listening to you was doing the lie detector test, he said, you're an honorable man, and I apologize. And I asked him, I said, can I get that in writing? And he said, no, all I can put is no finding.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of like it was stacked against me, I kept running into this, wow, what do I do now? I didn't know what I didn't know, and I couldn't afford a lawyer. Paying child support, it's costing me to see my daughter every time I see her. What ended up happening after the 4 years of investigations, when I didn't have any contact with my daughter, I wrote a play in a local theater company to produce it, and it was about a man alone on Christmas, longing for his family, and I wrote it entirely for my daughter, and there's a story about it in the paper and everything, and she didn't come to see it. I sent her tickets and everything, but I ended up getting her a copy of the DVD, and so she was able to see it, and she agreed to do another visit with me at that point. After it was almost 4.5 years, and it was a really strange time, because my mom had moved to Illinois from Arizona. Long story there, but she was getting older, and what happened was, it was Tuesday, March 4th, 2003. I got the letter in the mail from the court that said I'd been approved to do my visit with my daughter that Friday. And I was excited, as all can be. And my mom, I called her up and I told her that, I finally got the visit. And my mom was the one who stuck with me the whole time, through the whole fight. And I told her I finally got another visit. And she said to me, I'm really proud of you for what you did, and that meant more to me than, almost anything else. And what happened was, the visit was March 7th, and it was probably 24 hours before that visit. I was at home and I got a phone call from my sister in Illinois, who told me that my mom had gone into the hospital and probably wouldn't be coming out. And, it was just 24 hours before the visit. And, my mind's now completely screwed up. I'm nowhere near where I should be to visit my daughter after this long layoff. And, I went in for the visit. She showed me pictures of what she'd been doing, and she had her Girl Scout uniform. And all I could think about was, I got to get this flight to Illinois tonight so I can see my mom,
That's too bad.
It was awful.
Oh.
I felt bad because I couldn't be 100% there for my daughter. And after the visit, I got on a plane, went out to Illinois, and was there with my mom for the weekend. She was getting really bad. The visit was on a Friday night, March 7th, and by Sunday, mom was getting real bad and almost incoherent. And what happened was, I was devastated. I'm thinking about what I couldn't do for my daughter, and now I'm watching my mom die. And my sister took my cell phone, and she called my ex-wife, and she told her to let Amanda talk to her grandmother. And Amanda got on the phone, and she put it up to my mom's ear, and all my daughter said was, "Thank you for being my Grammy." And all my mom said was, "I love you." And, at that point I was gone. I walked out of the room. I was bawling my eyes out,
Oh,
it was awful. So I was, it was funny. I walked around and I'm looking at everybody's, get their visitors and having a good time. And there's this one woman who was all alone. So I went in to talk to her and just, it completely took me away from all the yuck that I was going through.
mhm.
And it was really nice. Rosalind Kruger was her name. She was she'd had a tough life, and her daughter wasn't able to get up to visit her. So it was really, really necessary at that point. God put an angel in my life at that point,
Mhm.
And I don't know. My mom ended up dying on Tuesday, the 11th. So it was tough. It was very tough. And what happened was my daughter's birthday is April 12th. So a little over a month later, I gave her a call on her birthday, and it was really nice talking to her. She was talking about the scrapbook she was working on, and it was nice. And turns out that was the last really pleasant conversation we ever had.
Mm.
She decided at that point, it blows my mind at the way the family courts work is it's ridiculous because at 12 years old, a child can decide whether or not to be with a parent.
Mhm.
And, at the same time now, an 18-year-old has to have his student loans forgiven. And I don't understand
Right.
the anything. And this country is going to hell in a handbasket.
Mhm.
But my daughter decided she didn't want to be a part of my life anymore. And there was nothing I could do about it except pay child support.
Ugh.
And I paid over $100,000 in child support without having any contact with my daughter. And if I tried to have contact with my daughter, I would have been in jail. If I didn't pay the child support, I would have been in jail.
Right.
So, it was, I was in I got to a place where I didn't know how I got there. All
Mhm.
I knew was that it was wrong. Everything that had happened was just completely wrong, and I really felt completely railroaded through the court. And I made a decision once I got out of my head that I wanted to do whatever I could to make sure that no other parent had to go through this.
Mhm.
Lo and behold, there's come to find out there's millions and millions of parents going through it, grandparents,
Mhm.
siblings. Oh, it's ridiculous.
And that's in the
Absolutely.
United States alone. This is and globally, I wonder what it is.
Oh my goodness. I've got a lot of friends up in Canada and over in England, Australia, Africa. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And it blows my mind. I mean, the one thing this world can hold on to that keeps it functional is a family.
Mhm.
And that's what's being torn apart. And uh, what scares me is the amount of information that's out there that people don't know. You
Mhm.
know. Um, anyway, back to my story. My daughter ended up. She turned 18 in December in 2009, April of 2009, and I was able to contact her. And I looked her up on MySpace that was available at the time,
Mhm.
and I found her, but she wasn't on there. So I looked on Twitter and Facebook and everywhere, and I found her on Facebook. And I just was watching what she was doing, and um, I knew the high school that she had been going to. So
Mhm.
I found out there the day they were doing the graduation, and I showed up at her graduation, and I've got a ring that her mother or my mother, her grandmother gave her. It's my mom's birthstone and my daughter's birthstone, the diamond and the pearl. I
Mhm.
was going to give her that, and I had a bunch of stuff that I gathered over the years, and turns out she wasn't there. Her name was in the program, but they just skipped right over it. Apparently, what happened was I went home and I got on to Facebook and I sent her a message.
Mhm.
And I said, I went to your graduation, you weren't there. And she said, no, I had to she went to a charter school, and turns out she was a valedictorian of that school. And I knew she was a smart girl,
Mhm.
but we started actually communicating through Messenger at that point,
Mhm.
and having a conversation about what had happened. And she agreed to have lunch with me. And then before I could set up a date and time to have lunch, I'm the way I see it, she probably talked to her mother,
Mhm.
and she just said, "No, I can't have anything to do with you. You're no good. You're a pedophile and all this."
Oh,
I was like, wow,
I'm so sorry.
well, it's very difficult to hear her say that, and to literally hear her tell me that she wishes I was dead,
Uh-huh.
and she doesn't even, all she knows is what she was taught.
Right.
I know that she would go home from our visits, and I'm sure that her mother and her grandmother were asking, did Daddy catch you there? You know,
Mm.
what did he do this? Did he say that? I'm sure that she was coached to believe that this happened.
Mhm.
I'm 59 years old, and
Mhm.
I've only been accused once, and that was because, and I know why my ex-wife did this.
Mhm.
I hurt her bad, and
Mhm.
I was a real bad guy for doing it. And believe me, I've never done it since. But she didn't want me to hurt my daughter the way I hurt her, and she made sure that wasn't going to happen. I
Mhm.
understand what she did, but the way she did it, to completely erase me from her entire life,
Mm.
you know, believe me, it's been 25 years and I've been struggling with that for a long time. But
Mhm.
we've gone back and forth over the years. I've tried to reach out to her. She usually gets a restraining order against me. Um, I've recently have contacted her a couple of times. I know that she's living in New York now, and I actually contacted her recently, and a friend of hers apparently contacted me, and we went back and forth, and I'm just hoping that she lets Amanda know that I just want to be a part of her life.
Mhm.
And I found out from this friend that my daughter is no longer in contact with her mother either.
Oh.
So I'm seeing this as an opportunity. I'm trying to get in touch with my ex, and believe me, it's been hard, a hard journey trying to forgive her. But
Mhm.
I will. I have no problem forgiving her if we can get together, talk, maybe talk to Amanda, and try to get something functional out of what's happened to our family. And I think about what that would do as far as helping other people in the situation. If the three of us got back together after a quarter century like this, I think it would be fantastic.
Mhm.
And I'm going to send a copy of this show to my ex-wife somehow.
Mhm.
Um, I'm actually working some covert stuff right now, just because. This is the most important thing. This is why I'm still here. You know,
Mhm.
a lot of people over the years have taken the easy way out, and
Mhm.
I understand it. Although I consider it selfish, you're still leaving behind the people who have to deal with, you know, everything plus now the loss. I couldn't do that. I I the the thought has come up many times over the years that it'd be easier just to take a bunch of pills and get it over with.
Mhm.
But I don't want to leave my daughter with that too.
Mhm.
'Cause she's eventually going to find out the truth, and you know, I'm sure she's going to feel really guilty about that to some extent. You know, that's why I want my ex-wife to work with me to help her to deal with, you know.
Did she remarry at all?
My ex-wife remarried to a man right down the street from me, actually, and I believe her after they got divorced. I'm pretty sure her third husband was a wife. That's all I'll say about that. So she's I don't know. My ex-wife has gone down a weird road, but you know, I don't know enough to comment on it. So all I know is that she destroyed my daughter's life, my daughter's relationship with me, and I really want her to call me so that we can talk about it on the phone, because if I go down to where she is, I don't know how I would react to her in person. You know, probably easier by phone. But anyways, after the last time, or one of the times that she got a restraining order against me or something, I was in contact with a bunch of people on Facebook now. I've gotten access to some of the groups that are available, you know, and believe me, when I went through the courts, there was no, you know, no support at all. You know, I got in touch with Dr. Childress back in '98 and found out about what parental alienation syndrome is, and have been working with that ever since. And I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous how it works. I mean, the non-custodial parent is the most oppressed member of our society.
Oh, yes.
No rights. If you don't have custody of your child, you're nothing more than a bank account. You know, unfortunately. And what I ended up doing was I got in touch with a bunch of people, and this one woman, her name's Tracy Ross. She's out in California. She filled me in on what Title IV is.
Oh yeah.
In the Social Security Act. And when she told me just the fact that the courts get financial incentives to collect child support, you know, that explains a lot of the crap that happens in family courts. You know, and one thing that taught me was if you look at any part of family law, all you have to do is follow the money, and you're going to find the answer as to why they do what they do. What I decided to do was I went to my town hall, to my town council meeting, to talk to them about how our money is being used that's coming in from the federal government, because it goes to our executive council. The Title IV money goes to our executive council and is dispersed that way. And what happened was when I was there, I was introduced to this man, Owen Preventer, who runs the Derry Community Access Television. And he told me that if I wanted to, I could do a show about parental alienation we're talking about. So I said, hey, what the heck, you know? And I started doing this show in 2017. It was called, it was originally called Practicing Love. And after the first season, we had some changes we went through and everything. And we made it call. We changed it to Love Works. It's the shirt I'm wearing, Love Works. And my hope was to keep, when we were doing it as Practicing Love, it was all about parental alienation. And when we went to Love Works, it became more of a like a legislative educational show. And it was in 2018 mostly, and the election was coming up, the midterm, and I had a bunch of candidates on who were running for office, and which helped me in my fight for getting state assistance as far as awareness with parental alienation. But it was focused more on the process of how the government runs in the state. It was a wonderful experience, and I had to stop it obviously in 2020 when I had a stroke, and I lost the right side of my I have a limited use of the right side of my body. But anyways, I wanted to go back to when I started the TV show. My daughter sent me a message on Facebook and said, don't use anything to do with me, or no pictures or anything like that. And she mentioned that she wanted to call me out on national TV. So what I did was I got in touch with this woman. Her name was Andrea Swanson. She was a producer for the Dr. Phil show. And we talked. I told her the story, and she had me do a video and all this stuff, and we were all ready to go on. But at the last minute, my daughter changed her mind, decided not to. I honestly think that she just doesn't want to know the truth, you know. So, you know, and I think that's why she's probably distanced herself from me and her mother. I have no idea what their relationship is, but you know, I'm hoping that something to do with the alienation has to do with them separate. I don't know.
Right. Well, I was reading here, this is from Psychology Today. It says, sadly, experts tell us this strategy of parental alienation almost always backfires in the end, and children eventually realize, even if just subconsciously, what was done, and resent the parent who engaged in the alienation. And there is a full degree of seriousness of parental alienation that was written in January 14th of 2019.
And that's why I think my ex-wife and I are in a good position, because we can ease the pain all around if we go into it together, you know, instead of, I could go to my daughter and say, hey, well, if your mother hadn't done this, you know, and torn her apart, but that's not going to accomplish anything. If my ex-wife and I can resolve our issues and talk to our daughter together, something beautiful might come out of it, you know. And I think at this point, you know, it's worth it, and I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen, you know. So now, what's happening now is, in addition to working hard to get my ex-wife to get in touch with me, I've been working with a friend of mine, Jolene. Jolene actually Stubblefield now. She got married, and her and I have put together a new group. It's called the Family Law Reform Network. We're going to be doing we're doing a lot of helping people. People are calling in or writing into the group page on Facebook, anyways, and reaching out for help, and we haven't even really got it going, and there are a lot of people reaching out for help, because you want to talk about it, it's a pandemic without a doubt, you know, it's around the world, like you're saying, you know. There's so much help that's needed. There's so much information that people need that they don't even know they need, you know. And that's the worst part. Like I said, when I lost my daughter back in 2003, I decided I didn't want anyone else to have to go through this. So I put together a group. I've got a few people that I work with as advocates, helping people understand what they're going through, you know. And what we're doing, me and Jolene, is we're going to be doing podcasts like yours, and as well as helping other people. We're trying to get at least one person from each state that can be a resource to others that need help, and eventually, hopefully, from each country, maybe each province in Canada, and, England and the Isles, sticking parts of the British Isles there. I mean, there's it's absolutely everywhere. So there's a lot of work that is needed to be done, and a lot of information that needs to be gotten out. The whole Social Security Act, Title IV. We were talking about it earlier, how it was during the 60s that with all the distractions of the civil rights and the moon landing and the Kennedys getting shot, all the different distractions, that's when George McGovern put in the Title IV to the Social Security Act. And after the free love of the 60s and the women's movement in the 70s, divorce skyrocketed. And that's when Hillary Clinton wrote Parts D and E, which gave and it's absolutely mind-boggling, and I can't believe that people haven't pointed this out already. But Part D gives the courts financial incentive to collect child support. Part E gives the agencies, CPS, DCYF, the whole alphabet soup, they all get financial incentives to remove children from the homes. So basically, they're getting financial incentive to destroy the family. There's no financial incentive or any incentives of any kind to enforce visitation for the non-custodial parent. So in the family law business, a relationship for a child with both parents is not in the best interest of the child. It's absolutely mind-blowing that I put that across to there was a committee that was formed here in New Hampshire to oversee the family law system in New Hampshire. And I spoke before them and told them this. And they were more focused on who I was working with as far as senators and representatives in the House than what the problem was. I think they wanted to squash that as soon as possible, and it turns out that that's what this committee was. It was just there to talk about how good the system has worked, and there was no. They're not going to be changing any. And it's really sad. It's a mockery. What it is. It's really sad. So
yeah, I'm sorry that ever happened with the Title 4D, because a lot of people are dying over it. The child support enforcement. I think that's under code 666. You can Yeah, that's kind of creepy.
Coincidence?
Yeah. Yeah. The only way to get rid of it, from what I've heard, is to repeal it.
What we thought about trying to do here is to create a nonprofit agency that will help to enforce visitation somehow, and that's still in the works here in New Hampshire. I just don't understand why the court won't do that, and probably going to have to get an invite to the Capitol in Washington in order for anyone to hear it. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
There was a case law of Morgan versus Morgan that came out in February of 2023, and it's super new. But the father was being alienated from his child, and he proved this and in a higher court. It's not federal, but it was in a higher court, and this was in New York State, by the way. But they ruled that his child support could be suspended if he wasn't going to be allowed to see his kid. And I thought
Really?
that's brilliant. I
Right.
wish that would have happened in my case.
You know what I did? In 2003, when my daughter made the decision she didn't want to be in my life, I had like 3 months to put together some kind of a final case. And I did believe me, I spent hours and hours at the law library researching cases. And what ended up happening, I found a case in Mississippi where a parent had part of the child support put into a trust fund that the child could get when they were 18. So I did that with my daughter. I had part of the child support put into a trust fund that she got when she was 18. Now, when she turned 18 and got it, I'm sure he didn't hear that it was from dad.
Uh-huh.
But at least I know she got it. So, and I tell that to everyone. It's in my case file. It's docket number 91D2170-D1, Massachusetts, Merrimack County. Any questions, give me a call, email, text, whatever it takes.
Yeah. What was your case number again? I'm so sorry.
91D-2170-D1.
Oh, and that's Massachusetts.
Yep, Merrimack County.
Okay. Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think every parent, especially non-custodial parents, should know that. You know, if you're gonna have to pay all this money and not have be a part of your child's
Yeah.
life, at least make sure they're taken care of. You know, as an adult, something to get started with. You know,
Right. You know, I would be leery of handing a kid, at the age of 18, thousands and thousands of dollars. I would probably put in the stipulation they'd have to be at least 26. They'd have to wait till they're 26 to get that money. That way their brain's fully developed and they're not going and blowing it on cars and drugs and,
right? Or either that, or spread out. You know, get this 18, 21, 25.
Right. Right.
Like,
That's true.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea though.
My ex-wife had to set up the account, so I'm not sure how she did it. You know, I'm not sure how she got it. I figured she got what she got, and it would have been at that point, 6 years of actually more than 6 years worth of child support payment, and it was only it was $25 a week, but over 6 years, that adds up. It might not be as much as it could have been, but something to get her started. And I was hoping that she would know it was from me, but nothing I can do about that now.
It's too bad. I wish you would have had privy to how she was setting this up, since it was your money that was going to her. I think you're the one who should have set it up and then showed the court how you set it up and where the money was going.
Right. I was just excited that I could do this. You know what I mean? At that point, I really didn't think the whole thing through. I couldn't think everything through on anything because there was so much that I didn't know.
Right. And it's stressful too.
Yeah. Everything I needed to know, I found out too late, which has been actually beneficial in my work since, because for the last 20 years, I've been working with other non-custodial parents, trying to help them reunite with their kids. And I've seen many, many families reunited, and if this is what I'm supposed to do, then this is where God put me. I'm here, and I'll do what I can. But I put up a post the other day. It said something effect of, "It's not my turn yet, but I'll keep clapping for others until it is." So I honestly believe that we will reunite at some point. I don't know. God's got a plan. I'm trying to figure it, just go straight and keep my path right, and eventually it'll work. And I honestly, I was talking with a friend of mine. I really want to go down to Brooklyn and see her,
Mhm.
but I'm hoping her mother will get in touch with me first
Mhm.
before I have to do that. I don't know if I can go through another holiday season.
Yeah.
Father's Day was extremely difficult. I mean, this year was probably the most difficult Father's Day for me. There's been too many of them.
Mhm.
And I had an accident and fell down and banged my head.
Mm.
Spent most of Father's Day in the hospital. So,
Aw.
yeah. In fact, like I was saying, I had to stop the show in 2020 because I had a stroke. That was actually the last time I saw my daughter. She came to the hospital when I had been in there for a couple of weeks, and she was only in there for 10 minutes. She asked me two questions. She said, "Are you still smoking pot?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, at that point, I just had a stroke, and am I still drinking beer? And I said, "Yes." And at that point, she walked out, and
Mm.
that's why I'm in a hospital, Amanda.
Right.
Uh,
That's
so
kind of irrelevant to the point of she should have
exactly.
asked, "How are you feeling?"
Right, right. Yeah.
But
When it was funny because I was in the hospital and it was a Sunday, and the nurse came in and asked me, she said, "Is your daughter here?" And I said, "No, I haven't seen my daughter in 17 years." And then a couple of minutes later, she walked in and it was her. And I said, "Amanda?" And I stood up, I sat up on my bed, and she said, "Nope, don't touch me." I go, "I can't get to you anyways." But,
mm,
I was able to ask her a few questions. She was living right up the street from me. But she was planning on going to New York, which she has done. Um, and she said she was working for a lawyer, but apparently she's working for a, a tech company in New York. So, but it was amazing to see her, and I was kind of bummed. The last thing I saw, her foot go out the door, walk out, and I just screamed, "Amanda, I love you," and that
oh,
was it.
yeah.
It was
Yeah. Well, at least you got to get that point across.
right, right, yeah, it was
Yeah.
tough. And, it's funny. She told me not to put any talk about her or put any pictures up. And of course, the first season of Practicing Love, that's all I did. In fact, I had a picture of her right on the set with us.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's been a long time, and it's hard. I feel for anyone who's in this position, and and like I said, I'll do whatever I can to help them to overcome the obstacles in their fight.
Right, because
No,
this is no club you wanna be in.
no, and the biggest victims are the children. You
Mhm.
know, these poor children who get screwed out of a relationship with one of their parents, and
Mhm.
more often than not, it is the father.
Mhm.
But I know way too many moms who are going through it. You
Mhm.
know, you know.
Yeah,
So
I think the court system is going after everybody, and they're
yeah,
churning and burning and they really don't care who they go after, mothers, fathers, they're going after everybody.
yeah,
Um, I really don't think at this point there's really any bias anymore. They're going after everybody that they
yeah.
can
It's
get their
all
hands
about
on.
the money.
Yep.
Like I said, follow the money and you'll understand it. You know, it's ridiculous. It if you can wrap your head around it, there are 500,000 children in foster care. That
Yeah.
means there are 1 million unfit parents, 2 million unfit grandparents, endless siblings, aunts and uncles that are unfit to care for these children.
Mhm.
No, they do this for the money. There's so much money being made, and on top of all, not just that they're getting money, they're getting our money. It's our Social Security trust fund.
Right.
We're paying for them to destroy our family. I mean, it's oh my God,
Yeah.
you know, it's Nazi-like.
Right.
You know?
Oh, it is. And also with the Title 4D funding, when these judges rule, I mean, they want to put, well, they do put parents in debtors' prison, which had been abolished in 1833, but yet they still do this. However, I heard in England, they do not put, they don't jail parents for that.
Not sure.
Yeah. And I also taking away a parent's driver's license that's counterproductive. That's
Right. I had that happen. I was convicted twice of not paying child support. I never had a lawyer, I never had a jury trial, but I was convicted. And the first time I had to do 20 hours of community service, you know, out on the highway with the yellow vest and the poker. And then the second time I lost my license. And if I had gotten one more offense, I would have gone to jail. You know, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous.
it is.
Absolutely. You know, and at the same time, I'm completely restricted from seeing my child.
Right.
You know, unable to have any relationship with my child. You know,
See, I think more people should be on this Morgan v. Morgan in New York State and use that in their case and push that as hard as they can, because if why pay on a horse you can't ride? Come on.
Right.
Why?
Right. That's a great point. That, you know, I honestly, I'd really like to read that case, because I can't imagine how they got that done. You know, maybe they just were the first one to try it or something. I'm not sure, but that's an awesome reference to have now.
Oh, yes. Let me see. I can even look it up here. I've sent it out to so many people, even lawyers. Because lawyers also find themselves in this mess as well. But it's out there. You could go on Google.
Yeah.
Even Google Justia and type in Morgan v. Morgan, February 2023.
That's
But
in New York, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Let me see. That's not it. Yeah, because this has to go. The Morgan v. Morgan has got to go viral. It just has to. It would save a lot of lives. Essentially. Oh, I have it right here. I can tell you. Okay, so that came out February 1st, 2023. And that was let me see here. Case number 2021-09165, docket number F as in Frank -12983-08 V 4454-17 V 445-17. And it was in the matter of Ronald Morgan, respondent, versus Mirtha Barga Morgan, appellant. So it's very interesting to read. I will send you a copy of this.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to find. Just type in Morgan v. Morgan.
Yeah.
And it's actually a short read. It's not like it's like a long drawn out, you know. But this is what it said. Okay, there was a pattern of alienation in which she would withhold the children from parental access with the father following appropriate and positive interactions between them, claiming that the children had been traumatized by the visit. My ex would do this all the time. I wish I would have known about, well,
right.
But under these circumstances, family court properly determined that the mother deliberately and unjustifiably frustrated the father's right to visit the children and suspended his child support obligation. Boom.
Wow.
It also said, see matter of Sullivan versus Palatnik. and matter of Cole versus Rotman, and matter of Thompson versus Thompson. You'll find all of that within the
Really?
Morgan v. Morgan.
Those were all cases that have the similar.
Yeah,
Okay.
that they used, which I think this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is gold. Actually, it's gold. We don't even know it. There's parents out there that don't even know this exists.
Right.
And
Right.
and
Yeah,
um
gotta
I
get
would,
that out there.
yeah, yeah, I can totally send that to you.
I
And
appreciate it. Yes.
it's just not right to suck someone dry and withhold the kids and create more personality disorders that the courts will deal with later down the road, probably 15 years later, 20 years later. And that's
Mhm.
exactly what will happen.
Right. Right. It's crazy. Sad. Really.
Yeah.
These poor kids, and God, children are so they're so abused,
Mhm.
in so many ways. I don't know if you saw that Sound of Freedom. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it
Mhm.
made quite an impact.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
this is how it starts. This is how the
Right.
trafficking starts.
Yeah. Well, definitely, because through this family court system, children are trafficked, and also the non-custodial parent is trafficked as well.
Yep.
That's actually slave labor with this
Yep.
non-custodial parent stuff.
Absolutely. There's nothing but a bank account.
Right.
That's all. And if you can't pay your bills, you go to jail. It's sad. It's really non-custodial parents are the most oppressed members of our society. There's no question.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because they're paying so much in child support and paying to have visits with their children, they can't afford a lawyer.
Right.
So it's like it constantly piles on top of them, the damages, and it's very difficult. Like you said, it's traumatic, and the stress is, it's ridiculous. And that's basically was the reason I had the stroke.
I was just going to ask you that too. I'm
Hypertension.
sure.
Yeah. Of course, I was working overnights and doing my show during the days. I didn't sleep a lot, and I
Mhm.
overdid it definitely. But I
Oh.
just trying to find. I've been trying for 25 years to find a way to get back into my daughter's life. You
Mhm.
know, I've gone through over a whole lot of different avenues and tried many different things, and
Mhm.
now we're going another direction. We'll see what happens. I think I feel good about it. I really do. I think
Mhm.
something positive is going to happen soon.
Mm.
My church has been the pastor and I spend a lot of time together, and the entire church family has been absolutely wonderful. And I know that I know that people all around the globe are praying for my daughter, that her heart will open up, and you
Mhm.
know, like I said, I know God has a plan, and I'll be here as long as I can to wait it out. And I'll push and do everything I can to make it happen. And if it doesn't work for me, at least I can make it help others to make it work for them. Yeah, that's my life.
Mhm. Well, 1 Corinthians 13:7, love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful, and endures through every circumstance. And that's what these non-custodial parents are doing, trying to reconnect with these alienated kiddos of theirs.
Yeah, yeah. You can hold on to the only the only thing I know for sure, when all else fails, love works. So I
Mhm.
hold on to that. Yeah, and I have on Facebook, my name is TJ Moonan, because I want, when my daughter finds me, whether it's while I'm still walking the planet or not, I want her to know my middle name is Love, and that was what I'm all about. You know, and it's a spiritual love that I'm talking about. That's what,
Mhm.
you know, It's frustrating, very
It is.
frustrating.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Mhm.
So on Facebook, people can find you at TJ Moonan.
Yeah. Yep. By all means.
Mhm.
And hit me up at time. If you want to, if you need to get in touch with me, you can send me an email, tjmoonan@gmail.com. Real simple. Um, I don't like giving out my phone number, but
Yeah, I would know because you'll have everyone call.
I know, yeah. But by all means, send me uh, messenger or send me friend request, email me. By all means, if there's anything that I can do to help you through your alienation, by all means, I'm ready to help.
Mhm.
It's why I'm here now.
And I think that's why we are all here. We're all in this together.
Yeah, you are so wonderful. I'm so happy to have been able to work with you for the last, at least this year. And
Mhm.
I'm looking forward to seeing where the future goes from here.
Definitely. Well,
Definitely.
I appreciate you too because you helped organize. You did all the organization of that Parental Alienation Awareness Day on the 25th of April.
That was a great show. I was able to watch that afterwards and see you did a really good job.
Oh,
Very
thank
much.
you.
Mm.
But I'd like to
Well,
have you go ahead.
I was gonna say you'll be on my. You're the first name I'm gonna look for when I need help. Just getting anything out there.
Well, definitely. And I'd like to have you back on the podcast again in the future here.
Absolutely, anytime, for
Yeah,
sure. I'd like to maybe I can come on with my friend Joe,
sure.
we can promote our new site. We're just starting up, and like I said, we've got guest booked through the end of the year for our podcast, and really excited about it. We're gonna get a lot of information out to as many people as possible around the globe. That's our plan.
Do you have the name of the podcast yet or not?
It's going to be called, or get this, our group is called Family Law Reform Network, and it's familylawreformnetwork.com is the website, and the show is going to be called The Solution.
It's going to be called
The Solution.
The Solution. Gotcha.
Yep,
That's what we need. We need solutions instead of going around in circles.
that's right. We have a lot of people talk about a lot of the same things. A lot of people focus on the problem. And if you focus on the problem's going to get bigger. If you focus on the solution, the problem goes away.
Well,
We have a long time.
yeah, I mean, because I interviewed Amy Vanderlinda last year,
Mhm.
and we did a podcast called The End is the Beginning.
Right.
And she offered advice, and this is going to sound really wild and bizarre, but she said when you go to bed at night, you just tell yourself you already spoke to your alienated child and go to bed. Then when you wake up in the morning and you're just waking up, say, I've already spoken to my alienated child, or whatever you can say their name, right? So I
Yep.
thought, well, let me try this out. Let's see if this would work. So I started doing that in April of last year, which is around the time I think I interviewed her. And I did that for 3 weeks. And wouldn't you know, my middle one, who was, alienated from me, wanted to come see his grandfather. And I thought, wow, this is fascinating. So, we took him out to lunch and we talked, and I'll get too emotional if I tell you anymore, but
I
it
know. I know.
it's going slow, but it's going. And
Mhm.
and he, we text, but it's super slow, and we'll just see, because they have to come out of that brainwashing fog. They
Yep.
have to.
Yep. You're better off going slow.
Yes.
Ease
Yeah.
into it.
And parents have
I,
to be aware. Yeah, because even when you hook up with these kids, they will ghost out for 3 weeks. So be
right.
prepared. It's not going to be, you know,
Right.
so don't fall into that trap either.
I tell you, there's nothing I enjoy more than listening to parents talk about reuniting with their children, and
Mhm.
to see it. It's just amazing, absolutely amazing. And
Well, maybe
they've been around for a long time, and I've seen quite a few, and I could start rattling off names, but I would forget people, and I won't do that. But my co-host Joe Stubblefield, she was living on the streets like what 6 years ago, and now she's married. She got her kids, two of her kids back. It's just amazing what she's done, and there are so many more like her that I've been able to watch, you know,
Mhm.
and to be a part of it, you know, to know that I had something to do with helping them, and that's the joy I live with these days.
Oh,
You know?
yes. Well, don't jump off. Okay.
Okay.
Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these family courtrooms that in turn perpetuate parental alienation. I am your host, Marianne Petrie, author of Dismantling Family Court Corruption, Why Taking the Kids Was Not Enough, and Cry Out for Justice, Poems of Truth. Please join us again here with TJ Moonan in the future and other exciting guests. Thank you again, TJ. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on very much. Thank you.
Definitely. You'll be back.
Yes.